Everyone, welcome to this video, which is on lesson 8 of the Sound and Light scheme. This one is on ray diagrams, and really this is it's quite a gentle introduction to the study of light, which we're going to do for the remainder of this scheme of work, and much of this will be reinforcing what students have already seen at primary school, but it's just a nice opportunity to make sure that any of those really foundational misconceptions that might linger on are kind of done and dusted, ready to study light in a bit more depth for the rest of the unit. So the first thing we need to do in this lesson is distinguish between luminous and non-luminous objects. So what we can do is, and it's worth talking to students about this, they'll probably have some idea of it already, again from primary school, but luminous objects is anything that is its own light source. So in the lesson we use the word emit, anything that gives out light. And the sun is an obvious example. Mobile phone or laptop screens are a good example. We're just going to do a simple one because it's a bit different to what is in the rest of the examples. We're going to do a candle. So if I draw my candle like this, what you want students to recognize is if you as a person see a candle, so I'm going to draw a person here. I realized when preparing for this video the people I draw are a bit kind of spooky. They've got these kind of haunted eyes, but anyway, it doesn't need a work of art. What we want to show to students is that the candle, because it gives out its own light, is a luminous object. And to see a luminous object, well, light just travels straight from that object to our eyes. And this is really important. A really common misconception here might be that when we see something, our eyes are doing something towards the light. And if you like, you can talk about the ancient Greeks. That's how they believed light worked. As in our eyes were kind of doing something. It feels like we're doing something. Our eyes were kind of somehow projecting something outwards. But our modern view is that luminous objects give out light, and to see a candle or something like that, it just goes straight from the luminous object to our eyes. So it's worth labeling this as luminous. And you might say something about the word emits. So you could add something like this. Because this is a luminous object, it emits light. Okay, something like that. We could even put emits light. And that may well be a new word to them. So you can just tell them emit means give out. That's absolutely fine. Now, another category of object is non-luminous objects. So the example I'm going to use here is a book on a table. And you'll see this comes up both in the check for understanding and in the deliberate practice. So we really hope they're going to be clear on this. But it could be any object on a table. Really hope they're clear on this by the end of the lesson. So if I sketch a book on the table, here's my candle, this weirdly large candle floating in midair. But anyway, here's the book. I'm going to label this as a book here, so students know what I'm talking about. And then this time, rather than do my spooky face with the haunted eyes, I'm going to draw a person standing here like this. And what we need to emphasize to students is that to see a luminous object, the light can just go straight from the object to our eyes. That's absolutely fine. But if we're going to have a chance of seeing a book, which is a non-luminous object, an object that doesn't emit light, it isn't its own light source, what needs to happen is this. There needs to be a luminous object somewhere, and light needs to travel from there to the book before it goes into our eyes. So if I draw something like this, now at this stage, you, and I'm the same here, you may be worried about, you know, getting the angle of incidence exactly equal to the angle of reflection and so on. But remember, that's not really what this lesson is about. That's going to come in the later lesson on reflection. The main thing here is that students see two things. One, that light travels in straight lines, and two, that light goes from the luminous object to our eyes. And if we've got a non-luminous object like this, so I can put non-luminous, what that means is it's going to need a light source if you're going to be able to see it. and you could give students the example, well, okay, if I were to blow that candle out, would I be able to see the book? Well, there would be no light coming from here, and therefore no light would be able to get to there. So if you were in a perfectly dark room, you're not going to be able to see the book, and this is why, because there's no luminous object. Now they might say, well, hang on, you know, what if I'm in a room and I've not got any of the lights on? I can still see stuff. And then you've got to draw their attention to the fact that light reflects, and you know, it comes from the sun, it comes through the windows, all of that other stuff. So there may be some misconceptions that you might need to tease out here, but again, the main point is that we show light with these rays that go in straight lines, and originally there has to be some sort of luminous object if light is going to reach our eyes. Now the last example we're going to look at is again, maybe let's do a tall candle this time. Something like this. So I'm going to draw again, I've got a luminous object here. And let's just imagine now we've got a book standing up like this. And again, this is really just revision from Key Stage 2. This is nothing they won't have seen before, but it's worth emphasising exactly what's going on. It's a nice way of reinforcing the point about light travelling in straight lines. What we want to show is how a shadow is formed. So let's just extend that a bit further. And again, what you can do is show, well, okay, light is going to come from the candle. I'm going to draw it from up here. And it's going to go here like that. And it travels in a straight line. So here, this part over here is going to be lit up. But because of where the light from the candle can travel, these parts here, all the way over here, I've drawn my book a bit tall, so I've got a very long shadow here, but anyway, this part here is going to be a shadow. And what you can do here is explain why we get this shadow. Well, it's because any light that travels down to here, so if I draw some light traveling down to here, and so on, I can draw light here like this, but it kind of gets stopped by the book. It gets blocked, you might say. Now, students will use all sorts of words for this: stop, block, whatever, but we want to give them the scientific word, and the word we're going to use for stopped or taken is absorb. So we can say absorbs light, and that's why you get the shadow here, because in this region, instead of light traveling to here, you could add maybe a dashed line like this. Instead of light traveling to here, it is absorbed by the book, and therefore no light actually reaches it. And that's why this shadow region appears darker than the other regions where light from the candle could reach. So that's a whistle-stop tour. 3 really important keywords: luminous, non-luminous, absorbs, and hopefully these diagrams illustrate what they mean. And then this idea that we can represent light as rays, which are straight lines and always originating from luminous objects. Hopefully that's clear. We'll do more on light in the next lesson.